All right, so welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. So, as I've told you, right, we will be covering. Um, yeah. So as I've told you, and as we have covered, so we will be covering the code, right? We'll be covering the backend code that has been written in this software called ChatDev, right? So we'll be essentially going through right each and every, uh, each and every part, each and every part basically. So in the last video, we have experimented with some of the work that this model has accomplished, right? We have been we've been just checking out some of the work that this model has already generated. And I think I was pretty much impressed about the performance we were able to get, the projects that we were able to experience, the design, the user interface and all that, just some amazing. So in this video, we'll be covering the next part. Right, so this is the main file, right? Run.py. We have essentially like covered each part on a very basic detail. Of course, we each part will have separate files in the project directory. So we'll have separate functions. So each function will have separate I think files and separate classes and all that. We'll cover each and everything slowly, but um no, so in this video we are essentially going to go through this chat chain file with which I think consists of the main logic probably that is required to build this chat dev model. So probably the main model that is required. So we'll cover that in this video. So yeah, so first we'll create this get configuration file in which we'll get the configuration files which is present in this folder. So in this folder, company config, we have three subfolders. We'll go to default one, and we have three JSON files, which is nothing but these files. And each file consists some information. We yet cannot able to like decode what they actually mean. But on a very high level, if you look at, let's say, phase config, as the name suggests, it suggests the number, all the roles that we'll be needing in this phase or each phase. So in this phase config file, as the name suggests, we're going to have the details regarding regarding each phase, right? We're going to have the roles that are required for each phase, the prompts that should be given in each phase, and all that. So therefore, I'll be having that. Right, so let's say language choose. In this language choose files, according to the new user's task and some creative, yeah, so, we'll be having some prompts regarding each phase. And as software development is like, pretty much you do like ask the same questions, for each project, for every project in software development. That does create a bit advantage for us, right? So yeah, we'll go through the run.py. I've already opened it. Right. So yeah, we have config files, and then after that we'll just loop through each file and just add the paths to a list. And yeah, so if the company dot the path exists, we add that path to this list, and this will return this tuple, this data tuple as the output of this function. And after that, we have a bunch of arguments. We just if you remember, right, when we were running. So I'll just open the thing just to make sure. I mean, if you have watched my video, where we like run this chat dev to create different projects, I think the tic-tac-toe project, we have seen that in order to run it, we have a bunch of arguments that we have to provide to this to this software. So basically, when you are running Python run.py, so this is how you run a Python program from command prompt. So if you have command prompt, you could run Python programs from that. If you have a Python file, you could just say Python and the name of the file .py, and then these are the arguments essentially. Right? So these are the arguments that let's say you can add in some arguments to your Python file, and in order to provide the output for that argument, in order to pass some values to the argument, you have to follow this syntax. So we'll be essentially providing the task and the name, right? I think we have a bunch of other arguments which do have some default which do have some default arguments. So therefore, we don't have to provide the arguments for them. So essentially, we have the task. So yeah, so none. So this is this is the run.py, right? So essentially, we'll pass in the task and the name, right? The task and the name, which is which is the input to our run.py file, and only and these are the only important arguments that we have to deal with while running the model. And others are like, this might be like a pretty useful argument also, but like those are the essentially like two main arguments in order to control what the model outputs. And after taking in these arguments, we will pass these. We'll be passing all these arguments. Yeah, so we'll be having this config argument, which is nothing but the config argument is nothing but this default folder. So we'll be essentially having this default folder, and what we'll be doing is we'll be essentially getting the important files, which are config path, phase path, and role path. So we'll be accessing these paths from this config file, and after that we'll we'll create a dictionary, I think. We'll create a dictionary in which we like store all the GPT models. I think just putting the name of that. And after doing that, after like getting these arguments, just creating the each parts of every phase, phase path and role path and maybe config path. After doing this, we will, I think, proceed to the main part, which is ChatChain. And if you observe here, I think all the important process that we will run in this run.py inherits from this ChatChain. So therefore, not inherits. Inherits is not a very syntactically right word, but so we'll be using this class and all the functions in this class to be the main thing. So we'll just do the pre-processing from this ChatChain. I will be doing the make, recruitment, execute chain, and also the post processing all from the ChatChain class. So therefore, I think this is the main class that runs the whole project. So yeah, we'll be taking a lot of time maybe for that, right? So we'll be having this ChatChain, and the inputs of this ChatChain is the config path, which is this. So yeah, for every project, we'll be having this as the input. So we'll just open this in window just in case maybe we'll be needing that. And then we'll be having the role path also. I think I'll open that in next file. So yeah, so we'll having this and this role path as input, and also also the phase path. So maybe I have to open that also. So yeah, so essentially we'll be passing all these config files as the input to the ChatChain model. That's why we have stored them, of course, and the project name also. So yeah, we'll pass in the task name, the project name, and the organization name, which is, I think, so yeah, I think organization name is like the name of the folder in which the project will be stored. The output will be stored. The output program will be stored. I think that is what organization name is. And then the model type, the model we want to use. Whatever GPT we want to use, and whatever things we have to use, we want to use. So I think for this project, for the default version is GPT 3.5 turbo. So GPT 3.5 turbo, which whenever you want to run it, when you do not specify this argument, and when you do not specify other models, this GPT 3.5 turbo will run by default. So that is the thing. And these are the inputs, and essentially we pass on like everything, everything we calculate up to here. Let's pass into this ChatChain class, which almost holds, I think it does the whole operation of everything, right? And we are going to have a bunch of phases, and each phase is going to have atomic tasks, and we are going to discuss that. So I think there is a small paragraph which we are going to read that I think specific just tells us about ChatChain on a very high level. So let's cover that. So yeah, this paragraph, we'll just cover this paragraph 2.1, right? Let's just see what ChatChain is before trying to implement it in Python. So ChatChain. So I think this is the main I think the main function of chat dev. So we'll read it. Chat dev employs the widely adopted waterfall model, a prominent software development lifecycle model, to divide the software development process into four distinct phases: designing, coding, testing, and documenting. In the designing phase, innovative ideas are generated through collaborative brainstorming and technical design requirements are defined. The coding phase involves the development and review of source code, while the testing phase integrates all components into a system that utilizes feedback messages from interpreter for debugging. The documenting phase encompasses the generation of environment specification and user manuals. Each of these phases necessitates effective communication among multiple roles, posing challenges in determining the sequence of interactions and identifying relevant individuals to engage with. Right, we are going to have multiple phases in which designing involves brainstorming and finding ideas. Coding involves writing the code. Testing involves just getting like the feedbacks from the program, whether it is working according to according to the description that is provided by the user. And documenting refers to writing the requirements files and all the requirements that are used, that should be downloaded in order to run that file and all, etc. So these are the phases, and we'll be dividing the software development task into four phases, and this is essentially the idea of chat dev, which uh, which protects the model from hallucination, right? Rather than like it protects the model from hallucination and better problem solving. This is going to involve a model to work in a very organized way, hence solving I think pretty complex problems, right? To address this, we propose a generalized architecture by breaking down each phase. So we're going to break down each phase into multiple atomic chats, each with a specific focus on task oriented role playing involving these two distinct roles. Through the exchange of instructions and collaboration between the participating agents, the desired output for each chat, which forms a vital component of the target software, is achieved. An illustration of this process is depicted in figure 2, where a sentence of intermediate task solving charts, referred to as chat chain, is presented. Intermediate task solving charts. Okay, chat chain is presented. In each chart, an instructor initiates instructions, guiding the dialogue towards task completion, while the assistant follows the interactions, provides suitable solutions, and engages in discussions regarding feasibility. The instructor and assistant cooperates through multi-turn dialogues until they reach a consensus and determine the task has been successfully accomplished. The chat chain provides a transparent view of software development process, shedding light on the decision-making path and offering opportunities for debugging when errors arise, which enables users to inspect intermediate outputs, diagnose errors, and intervene in the reasoning process if necessary. Besides, chat chain ensures a granular force on specific subtasks with each phase, facilitating effective collaboration and promoting the attainment of desired outputs. So essentially, we like divide each phase into multiple tasks, small tasks, and in which we are going to have multiple chats between I think the instructor and the doer, or the employer, or the employee. I think, yeah, the instructor and the employee. So this instructor is going to have a basic task that he has to solve for that phase. So each chat will be assigned a specific. So each phase or each chat will be involved with a specific task that has to be done. And these conversations between the so essentially the instructor is going to instruct the programmer or the employee to do that specific work until that work is completely done. So there will be like continuous conversations between the both of these, and there will be feedback, and there will be they'll just keep running until everything keeps running. So therefore, as you can see here in the chat chain, first of all, we are going to have the discussion between instructor and assistant, right? So here the instructor is CEO and assistant is CPO. I think, yeah, we're going to have some type of conversations between the two. And after this task is complete, so this is called a chart in which there will be essentially like a cycle in which the instructor instructs, the doer or the employee does something, and the CEO or the instructor uh, checks the given work, checks the performed work and will give some feedback. The instructor will give some feedback and some instructions, and the employee will do. And after this task is complete, after this chart is finished, next chart will be proceeded. Here there will be something discussion between C1 CTO. Well, again something will happen, and after that we will finally going to reach this stage where the CTO will instruct the programmer. Here there will be a bunch of conversations also. Here this instructor, right, this is the instructor, right? So he is going to give instructions to this assistant, which is the programmer, and this conversation will go on, this chart will go on until the code is successful, right? The CTO will like guide with each step, right? For example, I mean, as you have seen, right, if you have seen my video where we run it, where we use chat dev, I would maybe recommend you to watch that video, because or maybe use it on your own. I would recommend you to like use chat dev on your own. First try with small projects, because it might take a lot of time for like huge projects. But if you have run it, or if you have watched my video, uh, there will be some type of conversations, right? Each line, right? For example, when I asked the model to build like a tic-tac-toe game. So the instructor here, I think CTO, right, instructs the programmer to first like create a main.py file and add some Python code, and create a function to do that, create a function to do this and all that. So every step is instructed by the instructor. So that is going to happen here. And after that, after this is happening, so here the CEO and CTO are going to together decide language. The CTO and the programmer together, uh, with the help of the instructions of CTO, the programmer is going to write the code, which will be going here, in which the programmer, right, the programmer is going to instruct the designer, I think, to design something. And I don't think like you don't really have to have like instructor assistant process here. This might be a pretty symmetrical way where the designer might give some suggestions to programmer, the programmer might give some suggestions to designer and all that. And after we have generated some code here, after we have changed some code here, we are going to pass that through other phase, in which we are going to have the programmer and reviewer, where the reviewer is going to give some feedbacks according to the code. And there is going to be other process where the reviewer is going to give fast feedbacks, and each part will be changed by the programmer. Each feedback will be taken by the programmer and rectify, and the programmer will rectify each mistake that they have done, or each problem that they have in the program. And after that, we're going to have tester, who is going to who's going to check the code, the functionality of the code, how is the code working or not. And then again, we're going to have a cycle like process repeating, right? The tester is going to instruct the programmer, and then the code will be thoroughly checked, and it will be finished. After that, we're going to have another chat between CTO and programmer, and also the C1 CPU to write the manual, right? So that is the that I think that is ChatChain, right? We're going to have like instructor assistant architecture for like each chart. I think for now, at least, because we haven't yet looked at the code, I think this should be a very good assumption for us, or a very good starting point for us to go into that code and just look at what it is doing. So I think that is mainly what ChatChain already I think is about. So let's just try to understand what I think. I'll just try to read what is here. The list. First, we have demand analysis. I think which let's count that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think we have a lot of like compositions also. Probably 8. Let's see how many are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, I think each phase, or like each chart, I think is here in this ChatChain config.json file. I think for each yeah, maybe, right. All right, so each yeah, we're gonna have like bunch of I think phases here: demand analysis, language choosing, coding, the code complete all. And I think we also have like bunch of composition things, in which the code complete all composes of these these two phases, code complete and code review. No, only like, yeah, code complete. And here in this code review phase, we have code review, comment, and code review modification. I think maybe commenting on, yeah, it's like the reviewer will comment and the programmer will probably modify it. And yeah, and in the testing phase also, we have another composition in which we have test error summary, probably like, yeah, giving the error, and modification also, modifying the errors. We have environment doc, which is, I think, producing an environment document and the manual, right? We'll be producing the environment document and the manual. And we have all the recruitments, all the people in our company, all the employers, and all the roles that we have, that we would like to create, and then bunch of other arguments. I think now this makes a better sense after reading that paper. That is why it is useful to understand the, at least a small theoretical part before going into understanding the program. So now we could get into like ChatChain, what it is doing, right? So in this run.py, we call this chatdev.chatchain. So this is the main Python file. This is the main file that, this file consists of ChatChain, right? The ChatChain class that we have been using in the run.py file. So as you can see, this ChatChain class has a lot of functions. This ChatChain class has a lot of functions, which is make recruitment, execute step, make recruitment, recruits all employees. It recruits all employees. I don't exactly understand what that is, but for now we'll just move on. So execute step is execute single phase in the chain. So it, like, I think each phase will be executed completely by this function, maybe. Yeah, maybe that is true. Yeah, so that is why we have like a huge. And then execute chain, which executes the whole chain based on this file. So yeah, this JSON file I've showed you here. So sorry, let's open that again. So this file, config JSON file, which contains all the roles, right? All the atomic tasks that has to be done will be carried out by this execute chain. And then we're gonna have get log file path, which is get the log path and the software path. We might just skip that because that might include some more nuance and some more detail. We might have to put in more details to that. Maybe understand more details for that. And then post-processing, pre-processing, which removes useless files and logs some global config settings. All right. And then post-processing, which is summarizes the production and move log files into the software directory. Summarize the production. Okay. And then so these are the main files we have, and these are the main functions that we have, and these are the functions that we use in the run.py file. So if we just look at this run.py file, I'll just look at it one more time. Let us see what are the functions that we'll be using. So first we will be pre-processing. I think removing the log files, removing the unrequired files, and then we'll make recruitment. We'll just get that recruitment, and then after that we'll do execute chain. We'll perform the function of executing chain. In the execute chain, we'll call this function, or we'll call this step execute step. So essentially, we will perform each phase, right? We'll just go through self.chain, which is, so yeah, we'll loop through self.chain, which is I think I'll see what self.chain is. Yeah, so self.config of chain. I think, yeah, this one. Yeah, this one. So yeah, so we'll be looping through all the phases and just performing each task in the execute step or execute chain thing. And then in each, so while executing each step, we will be doing this, which we'll of course cover. So I think that is a very good starting point for us to start, right? In this chain file. I'll just, in this video, I think we'll cover one more thing that might be useful for us. So yeah, So we have this function, just leave it. I don't know what that is, but yeah. So we have this so we have chat chain in which we have this inputs, right? We have the config path, which is this file. We have this path of this file, essentially this JSON file. We have the phase path, which is this file, sorry, which is this file, phase config file. I mean, I still do not have idea like what is the difference between like this one and this one, phase config, and like this chat chain config. I think both of them are like pretty equal. I mean, both of them, I think maybe does contain of the same functions. Yeah, both of them contains of the same function. I think in this phase config file we have like the prompts and all that. Maybe right here we are also going to import. We are also going to retrieve or extract role path, which is this file, role config file. I think which is going to contains of in which, so this role config file is going to contain the roles, right? The roles that each language models have to perform in each of these jobs, right? So we are going to have multiple language models, or each one language model. We're going to have multiple assignments, right? We're going to call one language model multiple times, and essentially like multiple language models, and each language model will be assigned one specific role, and all the roles will be specified in this role config JSON file, which we will also import, and we'll be getting the prompt that we enter. While we are running it in the command prompt, we'll have the prompt, right? We'll be taking that, the organized name, right? And then the project name and the model type. That will be having this inputs, and now we'll just load them, or just store them in variables, right? We'll just store them in like self variables so that we could use them in class. In this class, if you are right, so if you are aware of object oriented programming Python, in order to use these variables in this class, so this is called a class in which we have multiple functions. If we call this class in a variable name, so if we just call it in a variable name and call this class and store it in a variable, we will just, right, we could use all the functions that are in this class. We could just call all these functions that are in this class, and in order to use one variable throughout this class, we have to like you have to create this line. So we have to add this line, which by saying that self dot variable name is equal to the variable that we have received, in order to use that in the class. So we'll just do that. After that, we'll just open these JSON files using open command in Python. We'll just call this open command on these JSON files, on each files, config file, phase file, role file, right? This one, and this one. We'll just call that, and we'll just read them into a variable, into some variables. We'll just read them into some variables. I think the output is going to be some string or something, right? So after doing that, after reading all of them to variables, right, what we'll be doing is we'll be saying self.chain equals to self.config chain. We're going to store all of this, right? Config chain. So yeah. So we are going to store all this data in this chain, right? We have this chain, right? The chain is nothing but all this data. All this data, we're going to store it in, I think, a specific string or something. Yeah, we're going to store that in a variable, a string, and then we're going to get these recruitments. We're going to get the recruitments also. We're going to get default max chart. I think, yeah, the maximum number of charts. Maybe we might just neglect this variable at least for now. And after that, after like initializing all the variables, all the required variables, right? We have this config phase, config, and config role, which consists of important data regarding each roles or each phases. After doing that, we'll call some other function, right? We'll call, I think, another file, which is chat environment. I think env stands for environment, I think, because I also have it gone through the code, right? We are going to, I think, create some environments. I think we'll initialize chat env, maybe the chat environment, maybe like I don't like understand exactly understand like what this actually does, but we'll just go through them. I think maybe we'll go through them in the probably in the next video, right? So at least for this video, I think we haven't covered that much, but we have covered the basics of chat chain, what chat chain actually is, and we have covered I think at least the basics, at least the basic functions of each function, at least the basic role of each function, at least in this video. So I think that is enough for this video. So thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. So yeah. So yeah, if you are interested, maybe I don't know. I think I will release like one video every day. I will try to, because we have a lot to cover. I will put my mind and soul and heart into it, into this, at least for chat dev, and after that we'll cover different models also. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.